Hello, welcome to another freelance marketing audit with me, Jim Hamilton, aka Inspector Lander. Today we're looking at a landing page from Eileen Wilder. So I've got this landing page on the left. The product is called the Ultimate Sales Script. So you can see on the right hand side, I've got my landing page checklist here. I've got the Lander URL. Before we dive in, just a couple of editor's notes. So I only look at pages that are receiving paid traffic, right? Because otherwise, if someone isn't spending money on this landing page, then it's pointless to look at, right? And secondly, auditing a page like this without knowing the performance metrics means that the conclusions you can draw are limited. But the purpose of this exercise is to show you how to deconstruct a landing page, identify the conversion elements, identify the strengths and weaknesses, and put together valuable strategic feedback to help your clients improve their performance. All right. So with that said, let's dive in. So we always start by looking at above the fold, right? Because this is basically the sort of highest yield piece of real estate on any landing page. Most people who hit a landing page, especially if they just clicked on an ad, won't even scroll necessarily, and they certainly won't scroll if the header isn't good. So we've got a pre-head here that says, "Need more clients saying yes to your programs and services." This secret script will allow you to effortlessly close 70% plus of all sales conversations. Use the new strategic silence method to get floods of sales for any program or service. All right, so the way that I like to evaluate this sort of header section above the fold, which I define as the pre-head, the headline, and the subhead, so these three pieces all put together. First, we look at, is it unique, right? And I would say, yes, this is unique. I think the new strategic silence method, that's a unique mechanism, and I actually quite like the name. A lot of times what you'll see with unique mechanisms is they have a name that sort of doesn't give away what it is, but it doesn't have specificity to the product, right, or the service. And so in this case, the strategic silence method has specificity to the offer because pretty much anyone who's in sales knows that once you drop price on a sales call, right, when you tell someone how much it costs, you're supposed to shut up after that, right? You're not supposed to say anything. And it's a battle of who's going to speak first, right? And whoever speaks first loses. So this has really nice specificity to the offer, which I like. Next, is it useful? I think, yeah, for sure. And something else that I didn't put down here on the checklist, but that, is worth mentioning is that people in this market really want the script, right? And I mean, really, this goes beyond sales. This is universal, right? Everyone wants the 7 magic words that they can whisper in someone's ear to, get a member of the opposite sex to go out with them, or the 12-word email they can send to their list to generate leads and sales, right? Everyone wants the copy and paste, the fill in the blanks, the thing that's proven where they don't have to think, right? And so anytime you can build an offer like that or frame an offer like that, it's gonna sell better, right? And so this idea of a secret script, word for word script that's gonna tell you what to say, that's always gonna do really well, especially in sales. Next, we look at urgency. So I would say definitely there's some urgency here because the pre-header says, "Need more clients saying yes to your programs and services," and that definitely evokes some urgency. It's got that need in there, right? So the word need is gonna really sort of resonate with someone who's in that emotional state of they're taking, they work in sales, they're taking sales calls, and they're not getting enough closes, or they're simply not getting enough sales calls, whatever it is. That's definitely going to evoke some urgency. So I think that's great. Next, is it ultra specific? So this is the last of the 4 U's, and I think there are a couple of elements that add some specificity here. So we get effortlessly close 70+% of all sales conversations. Now that's frankly a little bit bordering on unbelievable, right? Because a 70% close rate is pretty ridiculous, and not even the best people in the world achieve that consistently. But that definitely adds some specificity. And then of course we get the unique mechanism here, this new strategic silence method, and we also get this reference to the secret script, right? So there's some specificity there. As for, does it clearly communicate the promise? Yeah, I would say it's pretty clear. You're gonna close 70% of all your sales conversations, right? So that's pretty straightforward. Next, we look at the page speed, right? And the benchmark that we're looking for here is 2 seconds or less because there's really a drop off that occurs after 2 seconds. So if someone clicks on your ad and has to wait more than 2 seconds for the page to load, there's a much greater chance that they're just going to bounce and they're just not even going to wait for that page to load, right? So you're really starting to see a big drop off in traffic after 2 seconds. We always run landing pages through Pingdom to evaluate page speed, and you can see this one's 2.72 seconds, so not too bad. It's not like in the 10-second range or anything, but it is, outside that 2-second benchmark. Next, we'll look at the image or video. So in this case, it's a video. First question is there a strong hook, right? And now this video, it has kind of loops through a couple of video testimonials. And so they've got video, they've got the screenshot with a little bit of animation here. So I would argue that it's a strong hook because obviously one of the biggest things here with this kind of market, you're dealing with a lot of really skeptical people. And so the proof, the results are going to be really important for sure. So I would say that's pretty well executed. The other thing to mention too is that all of her testimonials are from women. Obviously, Eileen, she's a woman as well, and so surely that's her avatar, and that's something that you always want to see with testimonials is the avatar kind of well represented. And it's also interesting because women in sales probably feel a bit underserved because most of the people out there selling sales training, running Facebook ads, running Instagram ads, running YouTube ads, most of them are men, right? So to see an ad from a female sales trainer and then see a bunch of testimonials from other women, probably works quite well. Next, is it sort of compelling content? And so once we get through the testimonials in this video, there's a short clip from Eileen where she just kind of, hits on like a basic kind of problem, agitate, solution, sales message, and promises essentially a foolproof way to close more without feeling slimy or salesy. And that's really the general promise, like the general desire for pretty much anyone who works in sales, right? They want to close more because they want to make money. That's why they're in sales, but they don't want to have to twist people's arms and force them to do something they don't want to do, or just kind of do stuff that makes them feel slimy on the inside, right? So it articulates that pretty well. So yeah, there's Eileen. No captions though, so that's one thing, one minor thing that I think could be added to improve this video. Next, we'll look at the mobile view, right? Because as always, anywhere from 60 to 80% of traffic is going to be on mobile, especially on Facebook and Instagram. So then I'll just shuffle my head over here. So we can see that the font here, I would say, is a little small. Like this is a bit small and it's a bit hard to read. And so there is some emphasis here, but overall, I would say like the font should definitely be bigger here. And you can see even just like this image is like quite large, right? Bigger than the video, way bigger than the font. I would say that this should have been sized a little differently. Like it doesn't need to render that big on mobile. So I would say this page is not really optimized for mobile. Like it's not great. It's okay. Like it's not the worst page I've ever seen, but I certainly wouldn't give it full marks for kind of the mobile optimization. All right, so I've covered that. Next, we'll look at the first CTA. So this is always, again, like having that first CTA above the fold for a low ticket offer or for an opt-in page or whatever is so critical, just because you get so much more throughput, right? Again, like so many people are not going to even scroll down past kind of below the fold. So having a button so that they can take action immediately is definitely important, especially when you're running paid traffic. Obviously less so with organic traffic where, you're not paying for every single click that's hitting the page. So, you have a bit more leeway there. But as we can see, this CTA is huge and very visible, which I love. Really, really well done. So the button's massive. The bright red color really contrasts with the rest of the page, right? There is some red here, but overall, like the kind of colors that you see are like black and blue, right? So the red really pops, right? That's really nice to see. The enticing copy, I would say, yeah, the copy's enticing, right? Get the script now for only $7. So the now kind of creates some urgency. Only $7 highlights the low price. And then in the subtext, we get last chance, price increases soon. So that's pretty nice. And then does the link work? Yes, it does work. But it's a two-step checkout, right? So this is meant to kind of maximize email collections, right? So you have to put in your full name and email before you can get to the billing info. And so again, it just allows people to collect more emails and really squeeze the most juice out of any abandoned carts. So that sums up our above the fold section. And honestly, I would give this above the fold a 9 out of 10. It's really solid. Now, unfortunately, the rest of the page doesn't score so high. So if we look at next the credibility section, so first thing we look at usually are media features. And so these here, I assume are media features, but they could also be clients, right? Like it's unfortunate because there's like a subhead here would be really nice to give us some context, right? So either you could say as seen on, which would then let the reader know that like, hey, these are media outlets that you might recognize where our work has been featured, or clients we've worked with, right? Because then you know, okay, all right, like this is a a credible person because they've worked with this brand, right? But either way, it's nice to have that context sometimes. And even though these do kind of actually show up above the fold when you have the desktop window full screen, they don't get like they're not very emphasized very well, right? Like it would be easy to skip over them. So I think it would be great to see these blown up in size another 2 to 3x. And again, maybe they don't appear above the fold. I think that would be okay. But they should really be emphasized a little bit more. In terms of other credibility signals, really the only thing she talks about investing $56,000 of her own money, learning from the best salespeople and closers in the world. She doesn't name drop anyone, so it's it's kind of vague. And then in here she mentions working with hundreds of clients, right? So there's not a ton of other credibility signals. I'd say a bit weak on that side. Next, we'll look at product info, right? And so with information products, what we're always looking for are curiosity bullets and just curiosity in general, because that's really what moves the needle. She has a pretty decent story here that evokes some emotions here. She talks about how her husband had to drive Uber while she was figuring out this whole online marketing thing, and she was really frustrated, but she felt stuck. And so I'd say the story is decent, and it kind of hits on her story of discovery. Again, the story of discovery is kind of weak. It's kind of flimsy. It's like, hey, I invested $56,000. Like, why was it $56,000? We don't know. Who did she learn from? We don't know. How long did it take? We don't know. There's not a lot of specifics. It's pretty light on the details here in terms of her story. She mentions 2 rockstar students. Anyway, there's not a lot of curiosity. There's no like true curiosity bullets, right? They're like typically you would see a subhead which would say, inside you will discover, and then it would be like bullet, 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 and the type of stuff that you would want to include in there would be meant to really kind of ramp up the curiosity and tease the payoffs that are revealed inside the product, right? And that's really not present. The other thing that is missing here is a fleshing out of this strategic silence method, right? So this is like, even as someone who's not in sales, like I'm curious to know what that is, right? But you don't get any payoff here. A new servant-based script that allows you to close authentically at the same time, making it impossible for prospects to say no to you ever again. So like that's about it. And really, I think that's another missed opportunity, because that unique mechanism is really what differentiates the offer, right? It's what makes people believe that that's why all of their previous attempts failed, right? Because it didn't have this unique mechanism, and simultaneously, that's why this product is going to solve their problem, because of the unique mechanism, right? Because it's a special proprietary, method, right? So again, really, really minimal curiosity. Like there is this reference of like one simple tweak in the flow of the call. Like, okay, that's nice, but again, like a simple tweak that doesn't sound very powerful or transformational. Serve, don't sell. Okay, that's sort of like challenging a mainstream belief, but again, it's not really like fleshed out. She just kind of uses that to kind of twist the knife a little bit. Proven repeatable script. Yeah, that's about it. So anyway, pretty weak on the curiosity. Social proof is the next thing we'll look at, and there's a couple of screenshots here as we can see, but that's kind of about it. There's no video testimonials. There's no written testimonials. So I mean, at the very least, like she's got these video testimonials in the header video, right? So I would have at least like reposted them down here and like transcribed their written thing, included their name, included a headshot, also included the video, and like burned in a header on the video, right? So you can, you see these all the time, and that's because they work. But like you'd have a headline burned into the video with some copy that is like kind of like a highlight or a hero quote from the testimonial, right? Like I closed 200K in 1 month, right? So you see that kind of burned into the video as you're watching the testimonial. So even if you're skimming the page, you would see that, and even so even if you don't click the play button, that like, okay, that's the hero quote. Here is the video, right? There are all these like signals that encourage you to kind of believe what the claims that she's making, right? We got a weird page break here. Okay, so last thing is the FAQ, and sadly, there's no FAQ on this page. There is a little short PS here, but there's really nothing that addresses objections. So that's a major missed opportunity there. So that sums up below the fold. I gave this a 6 out of 10. I think it sucks because, the above the fold section is so strong. I feel like it executes well, but then things kind of really go off the rails here as we come down below the fold, and a lot of missed opportunities here for sure. Lastly, we'll look at the offer. So it's the sales script, the ultimate sales script. That's what you're getting. It's $7, right? So in terms of the desired outcome, there are actually 2 desired outcomes that are promised on this page. So, we talked about the headline and how, it says effortless close 70% of all sales conversations, which is like, again, to be clear, an insane promise. But then as we go down here, it's like, if you want to get your sales doubled and grow your business, then this script is for you, right? So those are 2 different promises. And this has the potential to create some confusion. It's like, if you've read the whole thing, it's like, if I'm closing 70% of my calls, that is way more that's gonna do a lot more than double my sales, So anyway. Next is the product name. So I think the product name is solid. The ultimate sales script, it sells itself, right? And that's what you want with any product. You want the product name to sell itself. And, I think that does. It's pretty clear. There's nothing super sexy about it, but again, that's okay. Pricing, $7, super low ticket, within reach for just about anyone, which, comes with its own trade-offs because you can end up attracting a lot of sort of crappy people who are broke and who refund and complain, and, the $7 they're worried about. But at the same time, it means you can get lots of sales, and that's important for this kind of strategy in terms of a paid ad strategy, getting a lot of conversions. In terms of value, I'd say, at $7, the value threshold is set pretty low, right? So in order for you to really feel like it's a good deal, again, that bar is set pretty low. However, there's no bonuses on this page, right? So, there's no bonuses included in this offer from what I can tell. And so again, you're really, it's just like, okay, the script for $7, that's the offer, So if there were, a couple of bonuses that were positioned to address objections, like, what if I don't have my own product or service to sell, or, whatever, right? Like those types of things would really jack up the perceived value of the offer. So, I think it checks the box, but, it could definitely be better. And there's no guarantee, which is bizarre. It's pretty rare that you see someone running paid traffic to an info product like this with no guarantee. So if I've just searched the word guarantee, and the only time it is used on this page is all the way down here where it says results are not guaranteed. So that's a major missed opportunity, and that's definitely going to hurt conversions for sure. In terms of urgency, there is a bit of urgency here. There's this section here. If this page is open, it means the script is still available, but it won't be that way forever. I'm not sure how long we'll keep this offer at this low of a price. This is very kind of typical cheesy direct response stuff, and it's the kind of thing that skeptical prospects will see right through. So, it's done, but I'd argue that it's not done very well. So in terms of the score on the offer, I gave this a 6 out of 10 as well. Again, I think it's just it's kind of weak. Like having some bonuses, having a guarantee, those 2 things alone would really take this up to a 7 or an 8 just by itself. So let's quickly review some suggestions, right? Like if this was our client, what would we tell them? How would we help them improve the performance of this page? So the first thing is just increasing the size of these credibility badges, like 2 to 3x. And again, I think it would be totally fine if it's not above the fold, because people aren't necessarily going to know what all a 100 Help Me Street, what the hell is that? Parents, is that a magazine? Is that a channel? Miracle Channel? Okay, we know that's a channel, but again, they're not like, it's not like Nike and Coca-Cola or anything, right? So there's not necessarily going to be universal name recognition. So I think again, given that, it's okay if they're below the fold, but make them big, make people notice them, and then add a subhead to provide some context, right? Say as seen on if they are media outlets where your work has been featured, or we've worked with if they're clients, right? Next is curiosity. Again, this is the big one, right? But so, adding some curiosity bullets to tease the reveals. So having a subhead that says inside the ultimate sales script, you'll discover, right? And then you would have a bunch of bullets. And so you'd say, I just riffed up some quick examples here, what never to say before you drop price, the number one worst way to start a sales call, or the surprising way to get clients closing themselves by staying silent, right? Again, I don't even know what's in the product, but that's just kind of 2 seconds off the cuff. But the point is, if you're interested in this product and then you read those, you're like, oh man, I gotta know what's in there. I gotta know how to get prospects closing themselves, by staying silent, right? The other thing is just really fleshing out the unique mechanism by explaining how it works and kind of what makes it different from everything else that's out there without giving it away. And it's kind of beyond the scope of this video for me to really get into that. But that's definitely something that would give this page a lift, I think, for sure. The video testimonials we already talked about. Like, I would add those below the fold with full names, with headshots, written transcript optional, a hero quote burned in as a banner on the video. Like these would definitely emphasize the social proof a lot more, especially for someone who maybe didn't click watch on the video, right? Like, so if someone hits this page and they just immediately start scrolling, well then they've missed most of your social proof, right? Next, FAQ. Obviously this is missing in action, so we'd want to add one, and then we'd also want to add some product kind of specific questions, like what if I don't have my own product or service to sell? What if I'm new to sales? Will this help me find clients? And I think one thing to mention too is, in the case of an FAQ, like for sure this product doesn't help people find clients, right? However, that's for sure a question that someone's going to have, and if they're down here looking at the FAQ and they see that question, they're probably going to read it. And so even if the product doesn't solve that problem, this is a chance to qualify people, to manage their expectations, to make it clear about what is inside the product and what is not inside the product. And so the downstream effects are, you're gonna have fewer people coming in who then immediately refund or charge back or whatever, right? So I think a lot of people tend to just, again, phone it in completely on the FAQ, but it's an opportunity to not only sell, but also do some repulsion marketing as well, in terms of turning away the people that you don't want coming in. Bonuses we spoke about as well. I think, adding 1 to 3 bonuses here. And again, even if they're there's probably an email autoresponder that follows this. And you could position the email autoresponder as like a free email course to help you implement the ultimate sales script, right? $97 value, boom. And that's just like all sales material, right? But it's designed to help them consume the product. And so, and or upsell them into whatever other products are kind of behind this on the back end. So, it's, adding bonuses isn't always as complicated, as you might think, right? And so that's the email course is an easy one. Some kind of free training video, some other kind of cheat sheet, something like, a pre-sales call checklist to help you get in the zone, whatever. Just kind of basic stuff that's instant gratification, but that helps increase the perceived value of the offer. And then lastly, just the money back guarantee, right? I mean, that's a no-brainer. And honestly, I'm pretty shocked. It's pretty rare you see someone running paid traffic on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, YouTube, whatever, to an offer that doesn't have a money back guarantee. So I'm sure that's starting this offer. And unlike some of the other landing pages that I've audited, in the past for the series, this is not one that I've been seeing a lot. I just saw an ad for this today for the first time. So that means that I'm less sure about how long this has been running, right? Again, a lot of the other landing pages I've audited have been running for a long time, and I know that because I've been seeing ads for them for a long time. And so, again, if you continue to see ads for something for weeks and months on end, that it's converting, right? That it's making money, otherwise you wouldn't be seeing the ad. And whereas something that you've just seen for the first time, you don't necessarily know that it's working or not. And, based on this page, I'm not certain that it's going to convert that well, because again, I think there's a lot of missed opportunities here. So anyway, that about sums it up. So I hope you found this helpful. Again, I'm going to drop a link to this Google Doc in the description of the video, so you can make a copy. This exercise of doing an audit for clients is super, super valuable and a really great way to position yourself as a strategist, right? And not just as a copywriter or a media buyer or a graphic designer or whatever it is that you do. But it's really important to just have a process, right? Have a process for auditing people's assets and, walk through it, right? And so have a written document, just like I've done here, right? Where you kind of go through methodically and kind of score things and rate things. And then just do a video walkthrough, right? Record yourself on Loom or Snagit or whatever your kind of tool of choice is, and send it over to them, right? And it's going to add a lot of value, really help your positioning with clients, help you charge more, help you raise your rates, and ultimately help your clients make more money too, right? Which is super important. So anyway, again, I'm going to drop the Google Doc in the description below. And if you want to learn more about freelancing, marketing, paid ads, copywriting, high income skills, you can also subscribe to our daily newsletter at thegig.io. All right, peace.